I'm Tom Adams, and I put together the Hotspot speakers this year. And this year we have another terrific group of speakers for Global Hotspots. All have diplomatic experience, many as ambassadors, and all remain engaged in foreign affairs at think tanks or in academia. They will help us take a look at 5 issues which will play large on the global stage this year. Our first speaker is Tibor Nagy, who has served as the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs and U.S. Ambassador to both Ethiopia and Guinea. When we think of areas of global terrorist violence, we usually don't think of Africa. But Africa has seen more terrorist-related fatalities than all other regions of the world. Ambassador Nagy will share his informed views on its causes and what can and is being done to respond. Our second speaker will be Tony Wayne, whose 40-year career in the State Department included serving as U.S. Ambassador to Argentina and Mexico, as well as Assistant Secretary of State for Economic and Business Affairs. He will discuss Mexico's hugely important upcoming national election on June 2nd, where Mexicans will elect a new president, as well as regional governors, national legislators, and Mexico City's head of government. This election could trigger changes in the fight against corruption and the drug cartels, as well as greater cooperation with the United States on dealing with these issues, as well as migration. Tony will be followed by Lucy Kurtzer Ellenbogen, who will guide us through what is arguably the world's current most dangerous global hotspot, the Middle East, focusing on Israel's military crisis, which comes on top of a severe political crisis in that country. Lucy is the director of the Israel, the Palestinian Territories, and the Region program at the U.S. Institute of Peace, and frequently presents and publishes in a variety of media, policy, and academic forums on political, diplomatic, and civil society efforts related to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and Arab-Israeli relations. She has published on Israeli and Palestinian religious peacebuilding efforts and is the co-author of a forthcoming USIP Cornell University Press volume examining the diplomatic efforts of successive U.S. administrations towards the Arab-Israeli conflict. Proficient in Arabic and Hebrew, Kurtzer Ellenbogen has previously worked with the U.S. Department of State as an Arabic language specialist and as the program officer for the Kennedy School of Government's Middle East Initiative at Harvard University. She will be followed by Ambassador Rick Barton, who will discuss global peacekeeping and ways to more effectively deal with civil wars and ethnic violence that continue to sprawl across poorer regions of the world, citing examples in a number of cases. Ambassador Barton has a wealth of experience in peacekeeping, humanitarian affairs, and refugee affairs through his experience in senior positions at the U.S. Agency for International Development, the United Nations, and the Department of State, where he served as one of our UN ambassadors. Our final speaker, Ambassador John Herbst, will talk about what has become a perennial hotspot, Ukraine, and where its conflict with Russia currently stands politically and militarily, and whether it can avoid becoming a frozen conflict with no end in sight. Ambassador Herbst is a retired career diplomat who has served as both U.S. Ambassador to Uzbekistan as well as U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine. So I hope you can join me this March to hear from this all-star lineup of foreign policy professionals.